A blazing orange burst tears across the night sky above the Iranian desert. Before the launch crew can even hear the full thunder of the engines, 3 heavy ballistic missiles are already climbing fast into the upper atmosphere. These are not ordinary rockets. They are the IRGC's so-called carrier killers, built to break through the deck of a U.S. aircraft carrier and take out one of the most powerful symbols of American naval strength. They rise higher and higher, pushing past 3,800 miles per hour, locked onto a heat signature that appears to match the USS Abraham Lincoln. While much of the world is asleep, a deadly contest is already underway above the sea. The IRGC believes this is the moment they have been waiting for. In their view, they have finally targeted the centerpiece of the American fleet. But they are about to learn that firing a missile is only the beginning. Reaching a target protected by the most advanced integrated naval defense network ever created is a completely different challenge. Time is running fast. In under 8 minutes, those warheads will begin dropping back through the atmosphere. If the U.S. Navy's defense chain breaks even once, the next day's headlines could reshape everything. But the protection of the Abraham Lincoln did not begin on the carrier itself. It began 22,000 miles above Earth. A U.S. Space Force satellite, equipped with infrared sensors sensitive enough to spot something as small as a campfire, detected the flare of the Iranian rocket motors the instant they ignited. This was not the kind of warning that slowly works its way through command channels. The data moved instantly, feeding directly into the Combat Information Center aboard the Lincoln. The quiet rhythm of the night watch is broken at once. On the main display, the tactical action officer sees sharp red tracks flash into view. The satellite has already projected the flight path. The threat is active. That warning does not stay on one ship. Through Link 16, the entire strike group receives it in real time. The destroyers USS Spruance and USS Stockdale, positioned beside the carrier, already have their Aegis radar systems turning toward the danger. They are no longer searching wide sections of sky. They are focused precisely on the point where the missiles are expected to appear as they crest the arc of their flight. This is the first step in the kill chain, spotting the strike before the attacker has even completed the throw. But Iran is not relying on only 3 missiles. They understand how capable the U.S. Navy is, so they add another layer to the attack. At 0400, while the ballistic missiles are still moving through space, dozens of low-cost one-way drones launch from fast boats and coastal platforms. These drones are much slower, barely around 120 miles per hour, but speed is not their purpose. Their job is to flood the radar picture and create confusion. The idea is saturation. The IRGC wants American crews to face an impossible decision. Do they focus on the high-speed threats dropping in from above, or the swarm of drones skimming in low over the water? It is a classic pressure tactic, designed to overload the decision-making ability of an ordinary Navy. But the U.S. Navy does not rely on ordinary systems. Aegis can track more than 100 targets at once and automatically rank them by urgency and time to impact. Inside the Spruance, the tactical action officer stays calm. He is not staring at chaos. He is looking at a sordid threat picture. The drones are already marked as lower priority. The ballistic missiles are flagged as immediate danger. Then, the destroyer comes alive. The hatches of the vertical launch system snap open and the first SM-3 interceptors leap into the sky. Each one costs roughly $11 million, and in this moment, every dollar matters. They climb toward the edge of space, leaving the atmosphere behind to meet the incoming missiles in the silent black above. Now the fight reaches its most intense phase. The Iranian missiles are at the top of their flight path, gliding through space just before beginning their steep descent. The SM-3 interceptors race toward them at more than 6,000 miles per hour. They do not carry explosive warheads because they do not need them. Instead, each interceptor uses a kinetic kill vehicle. Picture 2 high-speed trains colliding head-on at unbelievable speed. That is the level of force involved. Using tiny thrusters, the kill vehicle makes final adjustments in space, lining itself up with extraordinary precision. It does not simply strike the missile. On impact, it tears it apart completely. The sheer kinetic force alone is enough to turn an incoming warhead into nothing more than a cloud of fragments. Inside the Combat Information Center, 2 of the threatening red symbols vanish from the radar screens. But then a new concern appears. One of the missiles followed a slightly different path. It slipped through the first layer of interceptors. Maybe the guidance on the interceptor drifted slightly. Maybe the Iranian missile made a small maneuver mid-flight. Either way, one warhead is still coming. Now it's plunging back into the atmosphere. The re-entry heat wraps the vehicle in a glowing shell of plasma as it dives downward at nearly a 70-degree angle, aimed straight toward the flight deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln. Time is disappearing fast. Less than 90 seconds remain before impact. While the destroyers battle the threats high above, the deck of the Lincoln turns into a scene of controlled urgency. Two FA-18E Super Hornets blast off the catapults and shoot into the pitch-black night sky. Their mission is different. They are not chasing the ballistic missile. Their focus is the drone swarm and the electronic fight unfolding around the carrier. Moments later, an EA-18G Growler launches after them. For the attackers, this aircraft is one of the most dangerous pieces of technology in the sky. The Growler activates its ALQ-99 electronic warfare pods. What it sends out isn't random interference, it's precise and targeted. The system locks onto the exact frequencies the Iranian drones use to communicate with their operators. It also interferes with the sensors used by incoming guided weapons. Almost instantly, the drone formation begins to fall apart. Some of the drones lose their navigation signals and drift off course. Others begin circling aimlessly, unable to reconnect with their control signals. A few simply drop out of the sky and disappear into the water below. Around the strike group, the Growler builds an invisible barrier of electronic disruption that effectively disconnects much of the incoming swarm. Without firing a single missile from the carrier itself, nearly half of the attacking drones are neutralized. The clock continues to tick. The lone ballistic warhead that slipped through the first interception is now only 3 miles away. It's descending at roughly Mach 5, close to 3,800 miles per hour. The escorting destroyer USS Spruance prepares its final line of missile defense. This time, it launches the SM-6 Interceptor, one of the Navy's most versatile weapons. Unlike the earlier interceptors that engage targets outside the atmosphere, the SM-6 is designed to hunt threats already diving through dense air and maneuvering at extreme speeds. The missile carries its own active radar seeker. Once launched, it can guide itself. The ship provides the initial data, but the interceptor completes the hunt on its own. 2 missiles fire. The first interceptor streaks toward the target, but narrowly misses as the incoming warhead makes a last-second maneuver during its final descent. The second interceptor closes the distance. This time, the intercept is clean. The SM-6 strikes the tail section of the incoming warhead, destabilizing it. The damaged missile begins tumbling violently before breaking apart and detonating roughly 2 miles away from the carrier. The shockwave ripples across the water and rattles the windows on the bridge of the Lincoln, but the ship itself remains untouched. Even then, the defense isn't finished. On the carrier's deck edge, the Phalanx close-in weapon system swivels automatically toward the remaining fragments. Sailors often nickname it R2-D2 with a gun, but the system is anything but playful. Its 20mm Gatling cannon can fire around 4,500 rounds every minute. The system locks onto the falling debris and unleashes a burst that sounds like a giant zipper tearing through the air. A dense wall of tungsten rounds tears apart the remaining fragments, breaking them into pieces no larger than coins before they can reach the ship. Within seconds, the sky goes quiet. The threat is over. Thousands of miles away, Iranian media outlets begin releasing dramatic footage. A blurry clip of a rocket launch appears online, followed by unrelated explosion footage at sea. The claim quickly spreads that the Abraham Lincoln has been hit and badly damaged. But aboard the carrier, the reality is far less dramatic. Sailors are already heading down to the mess deck for breakfast. The ship continues its patrol without a single scratch. In the end, the US Navy didn't just win the physical engagement, it won the technological one as well. The lesson from the encounter is clear. Sheer numbers don't overcome advanced systems working together. Iran launched some of its most capable missiles and coordinated a large drone wave to overwhelm the defenses. Yet the carrier group continued its mission without even altering course. The deeper impact is psychological. When a nation uses its most advanced weapons and they fail to produce results, the message spreads quickly. The engagement demonstrated that the layered Aegis defense network can handle extremely complex attacks. But the true reason for success isn't just the hardware, it's the people operating it. Inside the Combat Information Center, many of the operators are barely in their 20s. Yet they handle these situations calmly because they have practiced them thousands of times in advanced simulations. For them, the Aegis system is simply another extension of their own awareness. Professional training and discipline become the final link in the entire defensive chain. While the launch crews on the other side may have been celebrating the moment their missiles left the launch rails, the American Tactical Action Officer was already confirming successful interceptions and preparing the system for whatever might come next. That kind of efficiency matters far beyond a single ship. The presence of the Abraham Lincoln helps guarantee that one of the world's most critical shipping routes remains open. Roughly 15% of global trade passes through the Strait of Hormuz. If that passage were closed, the economic ripple effects would spread worldwide. Defending the carrier group helps keep that vital flow moving. Some people ask whether it makes sense to spend tens of millions of dollars on interceptor missiles to stop a handful of incoming threats. But the math is straightforward. A Nimitz-class aircraft carrier like the Abraham Lincoln costs roughly $13 billion to build. The aircraft on its deck adds several billion more in value, and the thousands of sailors serving aboard represent something far more important than any price tag. Spending tens of millions to protect that investment and those lives is not just justified. It's one of the most logical decisions possible. But the larger cost falls on the attacker. They revealed one of their most advanced capabilities to the world and watched it disappear in seconds. In just 15 minutes, what was meant to be a powerful strategic message disappeared. The entire concept of deterrence behind the attack faded almost instantly. What truly explains the outcome is something much larger than a single ship. It's a complete network of systems working together. The US Navy doesn't rely on one platform. It operates as a connected web. Satellites watching from orbit, Hawkeye aircraft scanning the skies, Growlers dominating the electronic spectrum, destroyers managing missile defense, and submarines quietly guarding the perimeter. All of them communicate continuously through streams of real-time data. This level of coordinated engagement is extremely rare. Modern naval power isn't just about weapons or ship size anymore. It's about how quickly information moves across the network. If your forces can't share and process information faster than the other side can act, the battle is already slipping away. Throughout this entire event, analysts around the world were watching closely. The stability of the region depends heavily on whether a carrier like the Lincoln can remain protected while operating in these waters. If that kind of ship were ever forced to withdraw, the consequences for global energy routes could be enormous. But the Lincoln never flinched. The carrier remained exactly where it was. Flight operations continued as scheduled. Aircraft kept launching into the sky as if nothing had happened. In many ways, that quiet continuation of normal operations said more than any official statement ever could. The engagement demonstrated something that defines modern warfare. Information speed is often the most powerful advantage. Data moves faster than missiles, and the side that sees and reacts first usually controls the outcome. Public statements from the other side claimed success. They declared the strike had landed and celebrated what they described as a major victory. But when morning light spread across the Arabian Sea, the only evidence left behind was floating debris, scattered pieces of drones and fragments from missiles that never reached their target. The Navy didn't rush to make dramatic announcements or issue bold headlines in response. Instead, the carrier group simply continued its mission. Catapults kept launching aircraft. Radar systems kept scanning the horizon. That's often how real power looks. It doesn't need to be loud. When you have satellites watching from orbit, layered defense systems, and precision technology working together, the results speak for themselves. The Abraham Lincoln continues its watch, and as long as ships like her remain on station, the basic rules of the ocean stay the same. If you want to see more detailed breakdowns of how modern military systems work together to counter complex threats, make sure to follow the channel. We'll keep exploring the technology, strategy, and tactics shaping today's front lines. The scenario presented in this video is a technical and tactical analysis inspired by reports and discussions surrounding missile threat scenarios involving the USS Abraham Lincoln. While the equipment, platforms, and systems mentioned are real, the sequence of events described here is a hypothetical dramatization designed to explain how modern naval defense systems operate. Until next time, stay alert and keep your eyes on the horizon. The Navy certainly does. See you soon.